In the Middle East, where tensions are reaching a boiling point in the region, the question on everyone's mind is when and if Iran will strike, as Israel fortifies its defense and the U.S. rushes to its allies' aid. Our next story brings you all the details on the unfolding of this situation.
In a rare public move, U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin has ordered the deployment of a guided missile submarine to the region. But that's not all. The USS Abraham Lincoln has been ordered to pick up pace and race towards the region, while the USS Georgia, a nuclear-powered submarine, is already in the Mediterranean Sea. Apart from that, destroyers armed with ballistic missiles and F-35 jets are also in the region. The Biden administration is sending a clear warning to Iran and its proxies that any attack on its ally Israel would invite a swift, deadly response. On the other hand, Iran and its proxies, including Hezbollah, ramped up their threats in the aftermath of targeted assassinations of senior Hamas and Hezbollah figures. Keeping up the pressure, Hezbollah fired dozens of rockets from Lebanon into northern Israel, calling it retaliation for Israeli attacks last week. The Iran-backed group has also entirely evacuated the Beirut headquarters in anticipation of a flare-up. Israel is expecting a major Iranian attack to be launched within days, and it is shoring up its defenses, though it is asking the public to not panic. Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, has vowed severe punishment for the assassination of the Hamas leader in the Iranian capital. The big question is over when and how Iran will choose to attack. Major airlines, sensing the impending storm, are grounding flights to Israel and neighboring countries. The world watches, waits, and worries. Bureau Report, WION The World.
For more on the story, we are now being joined by Dov Zakheim from Washington, D.C. He is the former Undersecretary of Defense in George W. Bush administration and currently senior advisor at Center for Strategic and International Studies. Dov, welcome back to WION, and thank you so much for joining us. The U.S. has announced that it is moving a submarine to the region, along with aircraft carriers. What's the message that it's conveying?
Well, thank you for having me again. I think what Washington wants to tell Tehran is, in the first place, it is going to help Israel defend itself. We don't want to get dragged into a war, but we certainly don't want to let the Iranians do what they've always said they wanted to do, which is to destroy Israel. So that's not going to happen. Now, you mentioned the submarine, and that's significant for a different reason. If a submarine is going to fire a missile at Iran, it's not going to be easy for the Iranians to know that it was an American missile and not an Israeli missile. And so there's a second message here, I think, to Tehran, namely, don't think that the United States will do nothing offensively, because we might. And finally, there's a third message. President Biden no longer is running for re-election. There is nothing to stop him from actually supporting Israel and launching an offensive against Iran. Until now, we've never wanted to do that. We still don't want to do that. We're trying to get the Iranians to see sense here. But the fact of the matter is that whereas what you have to call a lame duck president, he's not going to get Congress to do very much for him. When it comes to foreign policy, the commander-in-chief can do what he thinks he needs to do. And if he thinks he needs to attack Iran, he's going to do it.
Yeah, such interesting points you bring up. Do you think the U.S. would launch an attack on Iran directly if Israel is ultimately attacked by the Islamic Republic?
Not necessarily. Like I say, what we're going to do is defend Israel. But there's messaging here, as you said, and as your reporter has said. One of the messages is we could strike Iran with a missile launched from a submarine, and the Iranians won't know who launched the missile. And the second message is President Biden may just go ahead and do something that he's not wanted to do before. So there's messaging, and it's terribly important because we know that there are a lot of Iranians who hate the regime, and they're the ones that provide intelligence to the Israelis, just as there are many Lebanese who hate Hezbollah and also provide intelligence to the Israelis. So the Iranians know that Israel has a vehicle for going after them, and that's how the Israelis probably know that an attack is imminent. Most of them seem to be speculating that because there's a resumption of hostage talks on Thursday, the Iranians might, might strike first. So the Iranians have to worry on many counts when it comes to dealing with the Israelis, and frankly, so does Hezbollah.
Yeah, that's very true. We'll be watching very closely, and I look forward to speaking to you again very soon. Dov Zakheim joining us live from Washington, D.C.
Thank you.
For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.